up this
Would
and
have no comment. The defendant would like to address the court, though.
Mr. Murdaugh.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Pawpaw.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
please make sure, guys, to
Anything
smash
further?
that like button. If you haven't, please subscribe this first time over
I
here.
don't think further comment is
Share my
necessary.
comment.
Thank you.
Mr. Murdaugh, if you'll come before the court for sentencing.
Pawpaw. Pawpaw.
This has been perhaps one of the most troubling cases, not just for
You right there with the judge
me
is
as a
going with this.
judge, for the
Phone
state,
lines are open 774-855-9400 if anyone wants to call in
defense
and talk.
team.
We can talk Koberger. We can discuss
but for all of the
Murdaugh,
citizens in
whatever's
this
on your mind.
community,
Aaron
all the
Carter.
citizens in this state, and as we've seen
Drunk turkey.
based on the media coverage throughout the nation, you have a wife who's been killed, murdered, a son savagely murdered, a lawyer, a person from a respected family who has controlled justice in this community for over a century, a person whose
Swelling means there's
Oh,
blood
great.
and
We
fluid
got a
getting stuck. And when your
moisture.
lymphatic system is clogged up,
Everybody's
that's
getting
when
it.
inflammation
Hey,
occurs.
all right,
grandfather's portrait hang at the back of the courthouse that I had to have ordered removed in order
Wow,
to
interesting, Dr. Bob.
ensure that a
I
fair
do know that they are looking at cold cases in Pennsylvania that may, have some remnants to what happened in Idaho. So I do know they are exploring some cold cases as well. But thanks for sharing that.
trial was had by both the state and the defense. And I've sat through the trial.
Oh,
Not only
awesome.
have I sat through the trial, but also as the presiding judge of the state grand jury.
Got it. Sorry about
Sat
that.
through
They
and
are
participated.
going back to Koberger really quick. They are looking at some cases in Pennsylvania that are cold, that could be, if there's any relation to, what happened in Idaho, way the victims were attacked, maybe the use of certain knife, something like that.
In the issuance of
Got it.
search warrants of various sorts, bond hearings, and have had to consider many things. And we have this case, and I'm also assigned to preside over 99 others, at least 99 other cases. Though testimony has come up regarding many of those other cases, I will not make any comment with regard to any other pending matter, as I have been assigned those cases as well.
99 other cases. Whew.
It's also particularly troubling, Mr. Murdaugh, because as a member of the legal community and a well-known member of the legal community, you've practiced law before me, and we've seen each other at various occasions.
This is insane. I mean, they've seen each other. This is crazy that they would be out in a public setting, and now here's this judge that has to sentence this guy to jail for the rest of his life.
Throughout the years. And it was especially heartbreaking for me to see you go in the
We're
media
gonna
from
get into
being
that, Asian. We're gonna get into
a
that.
grieving father who lost a wife and a son to being the person indicted and convicted of killing them. And you've engaged in such duplicitous conduct here in the courtroom,
Whew, he's laying into him, man.
here on the witness stand,
Woo.
and as established by the testimony throughout the time leading from the time of the indictment and prior to the indictment throughout the trial to this moment in time. Certainly, you have no obligation to say anything other than saying not guilty.
Woo.
And obviously, as appeals are probably expected or absolutely expected, I would not expect a confession of any kind. In fact, as I've presided over murder cases over the past 22 years, I have yet to find a defendant who could go there, who could go back to that moment in time when they decided to pull the trigger or to otherwise murder someone. I have not been able to get anyone, any defendant, even those who have confessed to being guilty, to go back and explain to me what happened at that moment in time when they opted to pull the trigger,
Woo.
when they opted to commit the most heinous crimes known to
Laying on
man.
thick.
In this case, qualifies under our death penalty statute based on the statutory aggravating circumstances of two or more people being murdered by the defendant by one act or pursuant to one scheme or course of conduct. I don't question at all the decision of the state not to pursue the death penalty. But as I sit here in this courtroom and look around the many portraits of judges and other court officials and reflect on the fact that over the past century, your family, including you, have been prosecuting people here in this courtroom, and many have received the death penalty, probably for lesser conduct.
He is laying it on thick. Woo.
Remind me of the expression you
Yeah,
gave
he's
on the
a-
witness stand. Was it?
Judge is an old school, kind of Southern judge, kind of laid back, quiet, and that's kind of what you were going to get from him. But I agree.
Tangled.
But he's just laying it thick. SC.
Oh, what tangle
With a lot of
web
steam on top.
we weave. What did you mean by that?
Meant when I lied, I continue to lie.
But Dr. Bob, why do you think it will be overturned? I'd love to type in the chat. Let us know.
And the question is,
the best way to burn fat and get
racial.
shape. It's not
You gotta
keto,
come racial.
paleo, fasting, or vegan, and it's not
dude.
super.
when will it end? When will it end? And it's ended already for the jury because they've concluded that you continued to lie and lied throughout your testimony.
Woo. Thick. It's creamy.
And
It's
perhaps
creamy
with all the
thick.
throng of people here, they for the most part, all believe, or 80, 90%, 99% believe that you continue to lie now when your statement of denial to the court.
It's thick.
Perhaps you believe that it does not matter,
Ruthless.
that there's nothing that can mitigate a sentence given the crimes that were committed. You know, a notice of alibi was filed in this case by counsel in November, and we conducted a hearing, pretrial hearing, in which you claimed to have been someplace else at the time the crime was committed. Then, after all of the witnesses placed you at the scene of the crime, at the last minute, or last minutes or days, you switch courses and admitted to being there. And then that necessitated more lies and continued to lie. And I said, where will it end? It's already ended for many who have heard you and concluded that it'll never end. But within your own soul, you have to deal with that. And I know you have to see Paul and Maggie during the night times when you're attempting to go to sleep. I'm sure they come and visit you. I'm sure.
All day and every night.
Yeah, I'm sure. And they will continue to do so. And reflect on the last time they looked you in the eyes, as you looked the jury in the eyes.
Thick. The judge is laying it thick.
I don't know person who's always been such a gregarious, friendly person and cause your life to be tangled in such a web, such a situation that yours have spun into. And it's so unfortunate because you had such a lovely family of such friendly people, including you.
Yeah,
and
I did.
to
I saw
go
that.
from that to this.
Paul really resembles Maggie. Bucky resembles Alan. Yep.
You know, your
I did catch
license
that.
to
I saw
practice
that.
law has been stripped
Good catch, SC.
away from you. You turned from lawyer to witness, and now have an opportunity to make your final appeal as an ex-lawyer.
Woo. Thick, bro.
It's almost
Thick. Ruthless.
it's really surprising
Ruthless.
that you're waiving this right at this time. And if you opt to do so, it's on you. You're not compelled to say anything, but you have the opportunity to do so.
He didn't say anything. He said nothing.
Judge, I tell you again, I respect this court, but I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie.
Look at the
And
sheriff.
I would never, under any
Back.
circumstances,
Shakes his head.
hurt my son, Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been.
I want everybody to really listen to this part right here, what the judge says, and he makes a very, very good point. Let's back this up a little bit and listen to this. This is kind of the moment I was waiting for in this speech.
Circumstances hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been the monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills.
And you almost see Alec kind of
maybe you become another person. Maybe you become, take 15,
Right there.
20, 30.
See the head shake.
But I'm innocent. I would never,
Alex had
under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you.
Watch his head.
It might have been
See,
the monster you
Agreed.
become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills.
Yeah.
Maybe you become another person. I've seen that before. The person standing before me was not the person who committed
like a
the crime,
shark eye.
though it's the same individual. We'll leave that at that. Before announcing sentence on these cases, with regard to all of the other pending cases,
99
are any of them here in Colleton, or I'm sure some of them
all over
are,
the place.
half of them, or
I don't have that in front of me, but there are a substantial number of charges here. There's some in Hampton,
They're
Orangeburg,
everywhere.
Allendale.
All right.
There may be others.
He's got a question. My channel member and moderator, I always have time for you, of course. Kristen says, I have a hypothetical question if you get a chance. Of course I do. If Buster or someone else came forward and said he killed them and was adamant and that AM had no clue, what would happen? As far as that, because and that, all right, let me just read this again. She said, I have a question. If Buster or someone else came forward and said he killed them and was adamant, and that am I reading that right? And that Alex Murdaugh had no clue, what would happen? Are you saying that now, because Alec has been convicted of that, the double murder, and let's say Buster comes forward and says, I did it? I don't know. What happens? Let's see. That's a good question. I think that it would probably open an investigation. It wouldn't just automatically expunge, Alec Murdaugh. I wouldn't just walk out of jail. Hey, your son just came forward and said that he did this, and da da da. I think it would open some type of investigation, by the police department to look into it, of course, because I'm sure that people have done that. I'm sure people have done that, try to take the rap for someone after, someone gets convicted of a crime, maybe a family member, a friend, or something like that. But I definitely would probably open an investigation. That would be my best guess. If I'm wrong, or if anybody else has a theory, type it there in the chat. Let's keep playing through. We're almost done with this. Then we can get to Aaron Carter, and then I have a little bonus segment for you guys, and then we're going to wrap up the show for Saturday night. And then I will be back Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to tell you my personal story of a friend that I lost to murder. And then, of course, we'll have our Thursday. I'm going to skip Wednesday this week. We're just going to go right to Thursday. Drunk Turkeys will be here on the show. I'm excited about that. And we're going to talk Brian Koberger. So
There's some I'm thinking of right now.
we might have worn out our welcome here in Colleton. They have been, and I'll take this opportunity to thank Sheriff Hill and all of the court officials and really everyone I've met and dealt with while here in Colleton County. Just been great. But without any delay, we're going to schedule some of the other matters. I know Mr. Harpootlian's scheduling is complicated, and you've sacrificed quite a bit to be able to be here defending Mr. Murdaugh, as well as the Attorney General's office, with all the other many, many things and obligations you have. And to be able to have the Attorney General here.
These
of course, we got
pop-on
another.
veneers are just awesome. So
They're
they come
just
with a
great.
nice case.
Excuse me.
Alan Wilson for the period of time that he's devoted to being here, along with everyone else. It's been quite a sacrifice. But there are other victims whose cases deserve to be heard. And this case has jumped some of those other cases, perhaps jumped it because of
I got a poll that I just dropped. If you guys can check it out.
this case resulting in an assault on the integrity of the judicial system
Yes
in our
or
state,
no. Kind of switched it up this evening.
law enforcement
like
in our state.
Let me pause this real quick. Or do you just like straight one general topic of programming? Let me know up at top. Let me know what you guys think.
Even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past 5 or 6 weeks by one who had access to
Oh, excuse me.
the wheels of justice, to be able to deflect the investigation. And as the evidence is pointed out in this case, the looming storm that Mr. Waters talked about,
Want to welcome everybody that just came in.
just imagine on that day, June 7th,
Viewing right now, if you can smash that
when
like.
a lawyer is confronted and
I would appreciate
confesses
it,
to
guys.
having stolen over $500,000 from a client, and he has a tiger like Mark Tinsley on his tail pursuing discovery in the case involving the death of Mallory Beach, and having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed.
Excuse me.
I could imagine, I really can't imagine, but I know it had to have been quite a bit going through your mind on that day. But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day.
He's really making this stick.
My wife and son and I were out just enjoying life.
Thick, like cream.
Not credible.
Molasses.
Not believable.
Almost like molasses.
You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. So if you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore, except perhaps your own as you sit in the Department of Corrections.
Thick.
Anything further?
No, sir.
Thick.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments
Goodbye.
in the murder of your
No tears.
wife, Maggie Murdaugh.
No expression.
I sentence you for a
Sharp.
term of the rest of your natural life
See ya.
for the murder of Paul Murdaugh,
Like a shark.
whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive. Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, there is no sentence where a life sentence is imposed on other indictments. That is the sentence of the court, and you are remanded to the State Department of Corrections.
That's it. No tears. No
And
nothing.
officers may carry forth
No, I didn't
on
do
the
it.
imposition.
That's it. If I was innocent, I'd be freaking out right now. This guy's a shark. Goodbye. Have a nice life, Alec.
Yes, sir.
Maybe approach.
Yes, sir.